All right. Welcome to another episode of the Freezin NFC North Podcast, episode 121, 2024 NFL playoffs. Lions declawed by the Commanders. Bears get their coach. Lots more to talk about. We will be having others coming with us, but obviously I am NFL Outdated. You can find me on Twitter X at NFL Outdated, on YouTube on NFL Outdated, and you can also find us on now again on TikTok, Freezin number 4 pod. Briefly it was off, but hey, we're still there. And someone who's always here, and appreciate you joining us. Seventh letter, where can everyone find you as we get started?
Seventh letter 4 on Twitter X, same OG on Instagram and Facebook. And you know what? Still on top of the NFC North. How about that?
You can say it. You can say it. Yeah. I mean, obviously, when you look at the game, it wasn't what you expected. So go ahead and just kind of go through, actually here, let's join, let everybody else join in here before we kind of get talking here. So welcome in Dre again, and also Miles. So Dre, where can we find you as we get started here?
Yeah, you can hit me up either on X or Blue Sky Sport. Blue Sky at Skullman Sports. Yeah, that's it.
Very good. Very good. Thanks for joining us. And Miles, where can we find you as we get started?
Good evening, gentlemen. Good to see y'all. You can find me at the Shrine Bowl this week coming up. But find me on the Packers Weekly podcast every Monday night, 9:30, streaming live on the Packers Talk YouTube channel. Come check us out. Hit that subscribe button for us. And we're going to be doing all sorts of draft coverage all through draft season here, having some fun every week.
Yeah, lots of juicy stuff there. But obviously the juicy story of the moment, seventh letter, we're going to get into that here. So tell us a little bit what happened and, walk through, Jaden Daniels, he's the real deal. Obviously you had, a lot of injuries, but pass out some blame and just talk about the game a little bit.
So as I said last week, right, I said, Jaden Daniels, he's different. I said this. I was counting on youth to stand in the way of that, but this game was very, very similar to the Buffalo Bills game, where they found something and they kept doing it over and over and over and over and over and over again on third down. It was killing me. It was like the same thing. So in the Buffalo Bills game, they realized we didn't have any linebackers, and they constantly went to the running backs on us. In this game, they knew after Meek Robinson got hurt, we could not guard anybody anymore. Like, it was crazy, man. And like I said, when you got a quarterback, when the head of the fucking dragon is not afraid, you got a long day ahead of you, man. It was I had a rough Saturday and Sunday. I was sick as a dog. I have not watched ESPN all week. I got off the treadmill today because they keep showing damn highlights from that game. I was sick. I was so mad. You know what? The gravity of this situation was like everything that was going on in my life. I was like, I wasn't as mad as I could have been. I would have been sicker, you know what I'm saying? Because if y'all don't know, I lost my son maybe 3 hours after that.
Oh, brother, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
So did not know that.
So it was like I was mad, but I'm like, I'm not that mad. It's all right. It was the best year I ever had in my life. I'm gonna lose my whack ass. It's blame time. All right.
Let's do it.
All right, blame time.
All right,
I'm going to blame both people that got jobs yesterday and today.
I knew it.
Yes, get him.
We're gonna start off with the black person first, because he pissed me off. Because I don't know why. In 4 fucking years, you have not been able to stop running quarterbacks. Yo, I don't know why you cannot figure that out. You still blitzing. He's killing you. Stop it. It's not working. Could you please play zone and make him think a little bit or something? Stop playing man-to-man. Meek Robinson is hurt. You got Vildor in the game. Stop it. Please. Please
Well,
stop.
Vildor made a good play. I think I meant
one play.
Well, here's my question. Obviously, with Aaron Glenn, though, right? I get it. I mean, and maybe Jaden Daniels is that good, but there was like no pass rush, right? Like he was just sitting like pretty in there. So
on the outside, none whatsoever. It was no pass rush whatsoever. But you know what? Kudos to them. Actually, the Washington Commanders took one of my personnel people from my scouting department and had one of those Detroit Lions good drafts. And one of the people he drafted was what was Sarvenstall from Michigan.
Oh, Sanders-Still, yeah.
Straight up a Lion. Straight up Lion.
Heck
Picked
of a
us
player.
off twice. Now to that bum Ben Johnson. What I tell you, what has been my thing with him the whole 3 years he's been offense coordinator? He always trying to be cute. All the time. Fucking Jahmyr Gibbs is averaging 10 yards a carry. He got the ball 14 times. Stop this shit, man. Every time. And then J-Mo, I love you. I love J-Mo. But everybody knows he's the most immature player on my offense. Why, with 12 minutes left, down 10 with the ball, why do you do a fucking wide receiver pass? Like, why? You know his dumb ass gonna throw it. I know his dumb ass gonna throw it. When he throw it, I said he held the ball long for somebody to be too open, to be open enough for him to throw it. He's still gonna try to throw it.
Hey, did Ben Johnson ever work for Pete Carroll?
No, Ben Johnson came from like he was under that what's my man name? Philman, the guy from the Dolphins. The same staff.
Oh, Philbin. Yeah. He
quarterback
was the
that-
Packers
Well,
offensive
so yeah, he
coordinator.
started out in North Carolina though.
Yeah.
John Shoup, he started out in North Carolina. Yeah. Yep.
Yo, he's smart, man, and to be honest, he is good. He is good, but I think, honestly, we was not as sharp as we should have been with 2 weeks off. I think those interviews killed us because both sides of the ball was the most undisciplined, and they just didn't no execution at all. Like none. Trick plays, 4 of them, and you down.
Yeah, that trick play looked a lot like the Keenan Allen one the Bears tried to do.
It's dumb. What are you doing, bro? Like, he killing me. I hate, stop being. You could take his cute ass to Chicago all you want. He tried that play in the fourth quarter down 10, and we can't stop him. We got to score. I blame Jared Goff. I don't blame Jared Goff. He didn't play good.
Don't? Okay.
You know who I blame? Graham Glasgow.
Okay.
That he was coming in from that left all day. He got beat 33 times. 33 dropbacks he got beat. And if you look at the Jahmyr Gibbs runs, he's making amazing moves. Jared Goff falling, getting tackled. He don't do that. Come on, man. Get them the fuck out of here. I'm ready to move on with my life. Call Eberflus. Put him on defense. You know what I'm saying? Call him.
So I have to ask you, obviously, then, before, because we only have you for a little bit of time here. What is your confidence in Jared Goff? Because, obviously he didn't have a very good game at all. Is there any confidence from this game? I mean,
am I from Jared Goff? I'm all right with Jared Goff. Honestly, I'm not like everybody gonna give Jared Goff a problem and all that, but we know what Jared Goff is, right?
Yeah.
You protect him, he's good. You could do the Tom Brady couldn't handle that heat. He was getting rushed from the same side all game. All game. Graham Glasgow looked crazy all game. So I've got confidence in Jared Goff. I don't think it's his fault. I don't care. Like, everybody always get mad at interceptions. I don't care about interceptions, yo. Keep being aggressive. It's when you're scared. And when you get scared, I don't like that. I don't like you if you're scared. He wasn't scared. He throwing interceptions trying to make something happen. Because Ben Johnson put us in that position. Ben Johnson did that. So enjoy.
We'll talk about Ben Johnson here in a bit, but
enjoy.
The rest of you guys, like, I don't know, Miles, are you afraid of Jared Goff next year? I mean, what you saw, I mean,
I think it'll be really interesting. Really interesting to see how the Lions handle losing both coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell is the culture, though. So they're not, the Lions aren't going to go back to being the Lions. Now, I think y'all might take a step back next season. But you still got to handle the Lions. Like it's going to be a tough matchup. I'm far more curious to see how this plays out for the Bears because, I saw a clip of Aaron Glenn today, and clips are clips. They're just little screenshots at the end of the day. And then, we get the little clip of Ben Johnson, getting excited about the, being, what is it? Couldn't be more fired up or beyond fired up, something like that. I'm just wondering, did the Bears get the right guy?
Oh, they got the right guy. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey,
you got to say that though. I would expect you to say that right now.
I do.
That's what they wanted. That's their Patricia. We wanted Patricia so bad.
Oh, it's more than
that's
Patricia.
A good one though. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
We got Patricia after he gave up 500 yards in the Super Bowl. Remember that. All right.
That went really well.
Johnson.
Before we get to that,
Jameson Williams.
Before we get to that, Dre, I want you to weigh in. Are you afraid of Jared Goff for next year?
No.
Out of everybody on this podcast, you should be the most afraid. Out of everybody.
No, I'm not. Like, this is also the guy that threw 5 interceptions in like one game.
And won the game.
That's a big deal.
That puts him on the same level as what's his name?
Sam Darnold
from the Bills. Like, that's not a good stat to have. It doesn't matter who to have that level of interceptions in one game, and a lot of them obviously came very early in the game too. And it's not a great thing. And honestly, I think that a lot of the Lions like aspects came from the coaches that they just lost.
No.
So this is going to show. Campbell has a lot of obviously swagger and
gravitas.
Yeah, to him, but this is going to be the first year that we're going to see like how much of it was him versus the coordinators, and how much of it's going to, I guess, his coaching ability is going to come across, and if that's going to work. I mean, it also depends on who they replace him with. Like, they may be able to replace him with somebody who's decent enough, but it's going to come down to that. So I think I'm not as afraid of him. Like, I never really thought he was like amazing. Not to say he wasn't great. Not to say he wasn't good, but I think even more so going into next season, I don't know.
There's
think
definitely question marks for sure.
Yeah, there's enough question marks there that I'm not afraid. I'm not saying that I'm like, I guess I'm not.
Are you not writing them off though?
Yeah, I'm not writing them off. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Yeah, I'm not writing them off, but I'm not saying I'm scared.
Let's put it like this: everybody's coming back. Elaine will be back next year. Aiden will be back next year. Okay, just know that. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. This game is much different if I had my people on defense to stop them a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But it shows, like, if you lose your defensive coordinator, I mean, as good as Aiden Hutchinson is,
I beat you. Without all of them twice.
See, that's the thing about Dan Campbell too. Is like Dan Campbell's going to attract a good defensive coordinator. He's going to attract good coordinators. People want to work for that guy.
Yeah. Okay. And Aaron Glenn was his friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, Aaron Glenn was his friend. So they came from New Orleans together. They that was his boy. So he loved Aaron Glenn. As bad as he was at times, as great as he was at times, he stuck with him. You know what I mean? And they finally gave him a personnel that he can work with. Now he got the Jets. The Jets got a defense. So the defense, he gonna look good next year.
Oh, he's gonna,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, they got
defense.
They had anything.
I
They
don't know
had
about that offense.
They have pieces on offense. They gotta find a quarterback. So if they go out and get Kirk Cousins and whatever, they'll be all right. They'll win.
Wait, did we just call Kirk Cousins a quarterback?
Kirk Cousins is the best. The best. He'll have one more year with a more healthy Achilles this year. I think he came back too soon. Achilles injury changed everything, and you could tell from the way he was throwing the ball that the Achilles was still affecting him a little bit. So he'll be all right. He'll be serviceable as he was, and he got Kirk Cousins. If they keep Garrett Wilson, if they don't trade him away, he'll have the one person he needs to throw to because he get busy. Garrett Wilson gets busy. Don't get it messed up, But I don't think nobody should ever have been afraid of Jared Goff. Nobody was. We're afraid of that offensive line, that run game, and the way we use Jared Goff. I don't need Jared Goff to do that. Now, if he has to, he has to. And luckily, he was able to, play well against division opponents this year. So I'm not worried about the division. Now, the Bears just got a little scary. I ain't gonna lie. But the Bears don't got the same offensive line the Lions got. So you can't be. I doubt he'll be as
not
cute
yet.
I doubt he'll be as cute as with you than he was with me. It's gonna be a lot of I like I always said, I think Ben Johnson with a mobile quarterback is it might be a little dangerous, but we know what he is.
He's gonna need an offensive line because you can't do cute things without an offensive line.
Cannot.
You don't have time for plays to develop. You're very limited. So we'll see how he does with that.
Well, let's talk about Ben Johnson then, obviously, while we have you two, Seventh Letter here. So, obviously, the big thing was how quick this happened. The question was, was he going to go to the Raiders? Who was the front runner? Obviously, Amon Ra St. Brown on his podcast said that he talked to Ben Johnson, and it, was obviously the between the Jaguars, the Raiders, and the Bears. But obviously, what Ben Johnson was reported that he, on that Zoom call, he started by saying to George McCaskey that he wanted the job, and he ended with, "Did I tell you I want this job?" So, number one, that's what we wanted to hear from Bears fans, as Bears fans, that he wanted this job. Like, this was the one that he was looking towards, and really, what it was is with Caleb. So that was the other thing. The second thing the Bears fans wanted to hear from this press conference: Ben Johnson believes in Caleb Williams. And the cool thing that we haven't heard from in the past is that Ben Johnson said that he is going to mold the offense around Caleb Williams and their player strengths.
Offensive line. Offensive line and Caleb Williams. That's what he said.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have to absolutely. But that's the thing. So, like, what Shane Waldron did is he took this offense that he had and tried to fit Caleb Williams into it. And so that's what we've done as a organization, is tried to fit Justin Fields. We did him wrong, trying to fit him into system. You take the player,
give a guy a line.
Well, and that's part of it. That's a step. But knowing a coach has that vision, obviously, I think the vision. And it was even realized by an interim coach. The other vision is obviously to win, but also the third thing we heard in the press conference that he took a jab at the Packers, saying, "To be quite frank with you, I kind of enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. So hey,
I hope he enjoyed it.
We got our guy
doing that very, very much more anymore. So I'm glad he enjoyed it. Then."
We got our guy. I'm excited. I mean, I get it. I get the points are. We need a line. The Lions had. So, obviously that is going to be the focus in the offseason, right? But you can't deny Seventh Letter, like how much offensively he's play design, all these things that he's brought to the team.
Well, like I said, if you're able to understand the playbook and those receivers are able to execute it, it'll be great. Coming here with that same bullshit they did last year, okay? Trying to go for themselves, because Ben Johnson is not the type that's going to keep throwing to the same person. You know what I mean? See, that's what killed us on Saturday. Jahmyr Gibbs was killing the Commanders. and he stopped giving him the ball. That's what he do. That's what he does. He'll go to his bread and butters. Like, he going to use DJ Moore probably more than everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because he liked the middle of the field a lot. And I honestly, I think that's like where Jared liked to throw it too. But I think that's where everybody loves to throw it. But he knows how to scheme people open. I think DJ Moore is more explosive than Amon-Ra St. Brown. So DJ Moore is probably going to be, you know, like the feature. I still think Keenan Allen should go. I don't think that.
Well, if you look at the press conference, who was there? Caleb, DJ,
for him,
Cole Kmet,
and
Rome Odunze.
He'll use a tight end because he likes
Rome Odunze. And that was the thing. We paid Cole Kmet a ton of money, and we decided not to use him. So that's, I mean, looking forward to kind of that. But Keenan Allen was not there. He was not in the front row.
Bye.
Get out of here. Exactly.
Bye.
Roosters.
So I'm excited. All of Chicago's excited. It's a love fest over here. I know you're not a fan of the love fest seventh letter.
No.
Hey.
I'm happy for Ben Johnson, yo. He waited. He didn't rush into getting a new job and all that. When he waited until he was ready. He kind of had an idea. He wanted to have a quarterback. Because he wanted one. He didn't want to go like to somewhere where, and with the jobs
the Raiders
last year,
the Raiders have nothing. Correct.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like, you know, like the Bears, we all believe that the Bears aren't as bad as their record. Like, if you're honest,
thank you.
Like, they're not that bad. So it's not. I wouldn't be surprised if they're playoff contender next year at all. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they even contending for the division. They got everything. They got the
I like what I'm hearing.
whole line.
Well, back to Lions here. Malik had a question. Email Lions to get Dennis Allen or Robert Saleh for OC. Strand, if we go outside, let's go get Chip Kelly. Ooh, Chip Kelly. Oh, that's an interesting one. Who do you? I mean, or what about the former Steeler, Antoine Randall, if he stays, that might be a good choice.
I think that he's an energy guy. I think he's good at his job. I don't know about offense coordinator because I don't know if that's what he's good at, really. To be honest, like I like Scotty Montgomery more so.
Okay,
Scotty Montgomery is probably the next guy we're gonna lose next season. Because
this is what Trevin Weiland said as well. Thank you for commenting here. Yeah,
I think that those two. Like, I like Kelvin Shepherd too. But he probably gonna have the same scheme that Aaron Glenn had, and I just need somebody that's gonna stop these running quarterbacks. The NFL has changed. Everybody you see every week has a running quarterback. They're gonna take a piece out of the Washington Commanders, and because the Washington Commanders did nothing, only thing they did was the same thing that the Bills did to us 5 weeks prior. They did the same thing. It wasn't nothing different. It was just they realized that we didn't have no corners. They attacked it, and they constantly attacked it.
He kept extending on fourth down too. Like, I don't know how many fourth downs he had. That was just conversions.
We couldn't stop him. It wasn't nothing we could do.
And they knew that. Yeah.
Wasn't anything we could do. No Elaine McNeil. They can run the ball. No Aiden Hutchinson on the outside, so we can't hold up or threaten the quarterback. He was fine the whole time, and we kept blitzing for no reason. For no reason. Stop blitzing him. Stop it. Stop.
Malik is blitzing my Bears here, saying he's getting fired in 3 years for being a snake. Oh, come on. Ben Johnson. He's the real deal. He's the real deal.
Yeah, he went across the street. Yeah, he went to go.
He wanted to, too.
He did some Kevin Durant shit. He went to play for the Warriors.
Oh, you're calling the Bears the Warriors now.
Man, you're giving the Bears way too much credit there. Dang, man.
No, he went to the enemy. You gonna go to somebody in the division? All right, man. Yeah. Go ahead.
Here's my question about Ben Johnson. Like, we get it. He can build an offense and he can run an offense, but can he build a staff? You know, and that's my criticism of LaFleur still. And he's done a good job. Obviously, no criticism of the Hafley hiring. I think that was an awesome job there, and very glad that he's staying with the Packers this year. But yeah, I'm pretty critical of LaFleur's offensive staff, and it looks like Ben Johnson is doing the same thing, where he's going to promote his career offensive line coach to offensive coordinator.
Nope.
So I don't know. What do you think?
Who is that? Who is that?
Hank?
Yeah. He was the offensive
he didn't
line coach.
No, he didn't get him, unfortunately.
Thank God. That would have
No,
been that would have hurt. Ben, I was saying go. I've been saying y'all love him. Everybody, America loves Ben Johnson. I know what he is. You can have him. He too cute. I can't take it, yo.
See,
So,
if I was a Bears fan, that would bother me right there. It's like, wait a second, here's this boy wonder, but the guy who had him doesn't want him. Why not?
Because he know he's disloyal, man. He went to the Bears. He's disloyal. That's why.
Hey, here's why I really love Ben Johnson. You hear Amon Ra talk about, him and just how, just close he was to him, right? And I think that's what you want in a coach. As Bears fans, we've wanted as a coach, someone who is actually knows what he's doing offensively. And they talked in the press conference about challenging the players and holding them accountable, but then also supporting them. And so in that communication, we just have not had that in an organization in a long time. So that's there. But you hear from the players just how much Amon Ra said that he meant to him, right, on his podcast. And so they still give each other crap back and forth, right? And so that says a lot, we weren't really hearing that a lot from previous Bears coaches, and so like that's something that has been missing. And obviously these coaches are well connected, right? And they want to be a part of something. And so it will be interesting to see how he rounds it out. Obviously, with Dennis Allen possibly being rumored to be the defense coordinator. And right now, when you look at what the Bears, they $13 million annually. It's reported something around that. Dennis Allen's going to take a lot to get him. There may be a bidding war for him. But right now, the Bears have decided that they're not going to go cheap, and they've done that in the past. They've gone cheap, and I think that's part of what Kevin Warren has done. Come into the building and said things need to change, and actually doing it. We can't do things the way we've done it before, just to try to do it on the cheap and just whatever, save money. We want to win. We have the quarterback, and we have to get the hot coach who is going to really be the adult in the room, but then even really develop the quarterback. And so heard a lot of good things. Obviously, it needs to be on the field. Everything needs to kind of come together, but I'm excited that way. So yes, there are questions. But if we have a defense coordinator who's done it before, I think that's going to be huge too, especially with Ben Johnson, first time head coach. If he's got someone who's been there before and kind of lean on that, I think that's going to be huge.
Well, good luck. Good luck. Gentlemen, I love you guys, man. I'm gonna go now, but yo, good
Appreciate
luck
you.
to Ben Johnson. I'll be in better form next week, man. But I'm gonna go be with family. Man, I love you guys, man, and you guys have a good night. All right.
You appreciate it
for you, brother. Love you, man.
All right, man. Peace.
Take care.
Peace.
Well, let's get into some other, obviously, Packer and Viking stuff as well. So I'm going to start with you, Dre. Minnesota Vikings, obviously, going to be a difference at quarterback here. So how far are the Vikings now from being a title contender in 2025? Like, is it a couple pieces? Is it just J.J. McCarthy coming in, and really kind of taking the reins? How far are they?
So my thing is that it's always hard to tell like exactly how far or anything, because like I can think of like a few. Obviously, we talked about last time, like the running game, like we need to like upgrade that. Obviously, the offensive line needs to be upgraded or improved on, I should say. And then there's obviously the questionable aspect of it is the quarterback position. Having said that, those things can be obviously figured out. And if they're able to figure those things out, then they obviously have the ability to be really good. Obviously, you have arguably the best wide receiver in the game, he's shown over the past his entire career that he doesn't need the number one quarterback throwing him the ball. Mm-hmm. He needs somebody who can just throw the ball to him, arguably. And then obviously you have all the other weapons. I will say, like, when it comes to some things, like our window, while it hasn't closed yet, I do think that it's hopefully it can happen within the next, at least get a little bit further in the next 1 or 2 years. It all depends really on the positions they pick up in the offseason, whether it's obviously through free agency or the draft or trades or whatever. If they're able to pick up those pieces, like I think this, like they have the ability. The coach is obviously with the re-signing, obviously of KOC. I think that's a big thing, and then obviously they're going to be most likely extending Kwesi probably in the next week or two, I would imagine, if not the next week. So like they're obviously invested highly in the next few years. I do think there's things that need to be fixed or like improved on, but maybe I want to be optimistic and everything, like be like the ultimate like fanboy here, but can I say that they're going to be able to figure it out? I don't know, but at the same time, I would have been happy with 8 or 9 wins this past season. We got 14. So even with like all the problems that we arguably had this year, like that's a great season. So I think they could, like if they're able to figure out at least maybe even 2 out of 3 of those problems, which obviously the McCarthy one kind of will figure itself out relatively. And even if it's Daniel Jones coming in to be number 1, if McCarthy doesn't work out, I mean, we've made Darnold look obviously really good up to the past like 2 games. So like that, I mean, I feel that Jones could have the exact same situation.
So it is totally interesting. Obviously, I was completely wrong about the Vikings. I said maybe 2-3 wins this year, and obviously Darnold, overperformed what I thought. But also Flores, just was a master. So it'll be interesting to see like if he actually ends up landing a job or not. Right. So I mean that might be an issue too. So you got Aaron Jones, obviously you talked about the quarterback. So there's a lot of pieces there, but I like that you said, obviously if they're going to extend Kwesi, because really, from what I've heard, even on Chicago radio, is that Kwesi has really, there's a good environment there. Right. And that's what you want to sustain success. And obviously that's what Bears are aiming for. But, Miles, what about you? How far do you think the Vikings are from actually being a contender in 2025?
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I've got a crystal ball in the Vikings season, because I definitely wrote y'all off at the beginning of this season. I did not think you would be very good. And, that definitely speaks to the culture that O'Connell has created there. So I can't say that you're far off. I can't say that you're gonna fall to the bottom of the division, and go 0-16 or whatever it is, 17. But yeah, I mean, I don't think 14 wins is in the cards for the next season. I do think there's a step backwards, and honestly, I think if I'm a Vikings fan, like I want to see a little bit more cohesiveness about what the plan is, right? Like in some cases, like you've got an aging running back, and Aaron Jones, you guys are going to hang on to him. And, then you got the quarterback questions, and then, you got some guys like Harrison Smith retiring. So there's going to be some changes in leadership among the players. And, so there's a lot of questions. So that, that's tough. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but yeah, I'm not here to write off the Vikings, because after this season, they've definitely made it clear that, hey, even when you're facing a whole lot of adversity, like the beginning of this season, I remember it was just like every day something bad was happening to the Vikings. You come off and rip off 14 wins. That's really impressive. You're not just
you even had
organization.
Like one of your high draft picks die, right?
Yeah,
like,
goodness gracious, man. That's
but yeah,
crazy.
Vikings, obviously, shout out here. Everyone wrote off the Vikings, KOC. I mean, he really is a fantastic coach.
Yes.
And obviously they extended him. So, I mean, this whole idea of like windows and I'm not really a fan of that, because you never know from year to year, like all the different pieces, coaches, players. I think, obviously, when we talk about windows, if you are going to talk about it all, it's quarterback. If you have a quarterback,
right,
your window is at least there. You're there. Because you can have a fantastic defense and, very rarely it has to be like an all-time defense for you actually to get to and win a Super Bowl. I mean, with Trent Dilfer and the Ravens, I mean, maybe Rodgers when he got there. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you have to have an all-time defense to actually and just have serviceable quarterback. So you need a quarterback that's going to make a difference to have a window open. I'm not really a fan of JJ, but I wasn't a fan of Darnold either, so I could be wrong. At least you have a young quarterback who has potential, and who knows, especially with KOC.
Yeah, I think, especially, he basically took this entire season, was taking notes the entire time. So I think that's obviously not something that a lot of people have. I mean, obviously with Jordan Love taking notes from obviously Aaron Rodgers, I think that shows you kind of have having like the rookies sit, I think is arguable, even outside of, if a player's injured, I think that's actually better, just because if you rush the player too soon, they could obviously succeed. You could obviously have a CJ Stroud type of thing, or honestly, you can have honestly a lot of other rookie quarterbacks who just tank instantly. And
there's only been a handful of examples of guys who actually got to sit, and those guys are Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, Jordan Love. So it worked out pretty well for them. And now I'll say I'm not a McCarthy hater. I was definitely one sitting here going, he may not be bad. Let's see what he's got. And I don't think that he will be disadvantaged by how things have unfolded. So I'm interested. I'm definitely not writing the Vikings off, but you guys got a steep hill ahead of you. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, I do think as well. I agree with what you're saying. Is we kind of need to figure out what, the direction that we're going in. Obviously, like you said, the running back room, we don't there's a lot of people who are on 1-year deals, and we kind of have to make decisions. I think talking about Kwesi and stuff. I think especially with them extending KOC, I think him bringing him back. I don't think that they're going to hire a new GM and after they assign their coach, because there's just going to potentially be a lot of disagreement between the GM and head coach. And there's been plenty of evidence that doesn't work. Because obviously, same thing with Poles, because obviously Kwesi and Poles were obviously big here for Minnesota at that time too. So they want to bring in their own head coach, their own system, set all that up, which is why I think KOC and Kwesi are pretty much hand in hand. And then on your Brian Flores point, what you said, from a selfish Vikings perspective, I'm feeling he's going to stick around now, given how the coaching signings have gone, which I'm happy about. Obviously, I want him to succeed and become a head coach again. I just don't think the remaining ones, because he's been saying over the past few weeks, especially, that he kind of wants to find the right place. Because he's kind of open-ended. Right now you have obviously the Jaguars, the Cowboys, the Raiders, and I think the Saints are the remaining ones at this point. I would say arguably the Jags are probably the best. I don't think he would sign with the Cowboys, given it
won't happen. It's just
I just don't think, especially with obviously the pending lawsuit that's happening, I don't think honestly Jerry Jones would want him there. I could be wrong, but I don't feel that's the case.
If he even thought he wanted him there, he would have used him for the Rooney Rule.
Yeah. So I think maybe the Jags think that. I don't know if that would work, really. So again, selfish side of me, I want him to stay because I think he's an amazing defensive coach. So it's kind of nice that's working out the way it is, but at the same time, it kind of sucks that he's not going to get a job. But
yeah, I was
just that keeps our defense potentially really good going into next year.
I was just looking under Saints Wire, and they've got, I think, 7 possible candidates for the Saints head coaching job, and none of them is Brian Flores. So I don't even know if they're interviewing him. But number 7 is John Gruden. So I I don't.
And I think
mean,
Maris said their offensive coordinator. I think I saw, or he said one of their current coaches. I think that he liked.
Darren Rizzle is on the list, interim coach. McCarthy, Mike Kafka, Cliff Kingsbury, going to be interesting. McCarthy, I think, ends up with it. Also, Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, who also interviewed with the Bears, and Joe Brady, offensive coordinator. I think, like there's some teams, and this cycle is interesting because I think, majority of the teams, they want to compete offensively. And so it's going to go offensive, and especially, look at the Saints too. Like, I think they went Dennis Allen, right? They went defense and you have to have an offense to compete in the NFL now. And obviously you got some really good defensive coordinators. But obviously Aaron Glenn matched up with a team that's got, the talent on defense, the Jets, you're right. And so it's going to be interesting that way. But yeah, I mean, Flores is a fantastic coach. I don't know if he's a fantastic head coach, unless he's learned a little bit from being, it sounds like from Tua, he was a little bit more abrasive with him. And that's why I didn't want him anywhere near Caleb Williams, right? Obviously I think you want someone who's going to be challenging, but in the right way. And that's I don't know if he's equipped for that yet, but I mean, obviously he's doing some great things on defense with just pieces. I feel like with the Vikings, it wasn't, I didn't think it was going to be anything.
Yeah, they've had they had a bunch of the 1-year deals or free agent signings, a bunch of random people, and somehow they made it to being one of the best defenses in the entire league. Don't obviously, they're vets, obviously having Shaq Griffin, obviously Gilmore coming on at the last minute. The fact that they were able to pick up the system and just go with it. Obviously Van Ginkel was amazing. And especially with Grenard and him coming in after losing Danielle Hunter, which I wish Danielle Hunter could have stayed. Obviously I really liked him, but from a business standpoint, I understood it. Obviously his injuries, I understood it. But to honestly bring in two people that were on par with him this year, if not better.
Yeah.
That's almost unthinkable to be able to do that in free agency, not even like a really, really great draft pick. It was in free agency. And I think if he's able to do that again next year, and then obviously Dallas Turner is able to mature and get much better, I think, and then anyone that they pick up in the draft, it could be dangerous. But then going back to what we were saying earlier of kind of cohesiveness, the fact that Gilmore was there on a 1-year deal, we don't know if we're signing him. We don't know if we're bringing back Byron Murphy Jr., if he's going to sign back Bynum, all these players. Harrison Smith, though he's obviously most likely it's looking like he's retiring, which understandable. He's a legend, future Hall of Famer, obviously, but it's I definitely think that. So it's we have a lot of things to figure out. But I think we have the pieces to do it, especially if our coaching staff stays for the most part the same. So I think I'm at this point, I'm just want to see how things play out, and I'll be happy, I think, most likely with any outcome, unless they really flub it up, which I
careful when you say any outcome.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think, right, this time of year, for the teams who aren't in the playoffs, which is all of us, you got has this board of free agents, especially offensive linemen, we can sign this guy, this guy, this guy. Where's that player going to want to go? And you brought up a great point, Dre, as far as the cohesiveness, because the Bears brought in Keenan Allen, and he really, I think was a detriment to that wide receiver room. Unfortunately, he's talented, but it just, he's not a winner, right? He's a stat, guy. He runs great routes, and he's a great receiver, but as far as a winner, and that was tough, especially when we had Eberflus on a 1-year whatever deal, whatever he was on, we didn't have that strong leadership. And then obviously now the Bears have that strong leadership. So we'll kind of see. The Minnesota Vikings have that strong leadership. And so I'm hoping the Bears can kind of get to that level. One team that we've always aspired to in the past, maybe not now, the Packers. Miles, tell us a little bit about how far the Green Bay Packers are from being a contender. Obviously, not just with rose-colored glasses, because most Packers think every year they're going to the Super Bowl. But how far, realistically, are the Packers from being a title contender?
Yeah, I think that's the right question this time of year. You know, there's a temptation to go, oh, if we had that guy, we could have done this. You know, and I think it's better to go, all right, you know, let's take the Saban approach for a minute. Every season is different. The 2024 season was what it was. I don't think that they are players away from being a contender. I think they are maturation and leadership away from being a contender. I think that they've got plenty of talent in the room on both sides of the ball. That's not to say that you just don't need to add bodies. You definitely do. But I do believe that if you have the right coaching staff, the pieces are there to go off and take this team to a championship. And, you know, we all kind of saw it here at the end. And even with the Bears, too. I mean, the difference in a lot of these things is a very, very tiny margin. So, you know, it's not like you've got to go out there and try to swing for the fences just to get yourself a chance, where I think, you know, fans have a tendency to think that that's the case, right? Like, oh gosh, we weren't good enough on offense. We must have T. Higgins, you know?
Yes.
All right. Well, maybe that doesn't solve every problem. You know?
Yeah.
And that's why I really believe that, you know, the Packers have resources. They're going to add guys this offseason, and they've been good at doing that. You know, are they perfect? Are they the best? No. But in general, they've been good at it, right? Goot has done a good job of adding free agents when he's done it. They've done a good job of finding value in the draft. You know, they've made mistakes across the board. So has everybody else. So that I have confidence in, but what I really want to see is I want to see maturation in this coaching staff. And I'm glad to see that they're already interviewing new D-line coaches. I think that needs to be acknowledged, that whoever that was, I can't even remember his name, the previous D-line coach, was just not good. You're not good enough, right? Like, you've got a lot of talent there. There's a lot of first-round picks there. You know, maybe some of them don't live up to being a first-round pick, but you can't tell me all of them aren't living up to that. And then you've also got a Kenny Clark there that, when you've had good coaching in place, he has shown he can be one of the best in the game in the interior, and he's underperforming. Yeah, I'm looking at the coaches at that point, you know? So you got a ton of talent in the room. You need to maximize it. I think the defense did a great job this season getting Hafley's system going, and I only expect a step forward next season with a full off season, you know, together, and probably a few other complementary pieces added. But it's the offense, man. I mean, you know, and I know that that's the part that you want to focus on, right? Is Jordan Love the guy, or is Jordan Love mid?
You know,
as Andy loves to sling around. You know, and I don't think so. And this is where the quarterback conversation for me gets fun. Quarterbacks, to me, the crux of the position is decision making, right? And can you be a good decision maker when it matters the most? Right now, and in this season, my biggest, call it, criticism for, you know, the 2024 Packers was they didn't have a game manager that they needed in Jordan Love. And I know you love to play with that title.
Yeah.
And I think that it becomes an insult or a little bit of a knock on a guy if that's all he is. And I do not believe that is all Jordan Love is, but I want part of Jordan Love to be a game manager. And I'm starting to believe that LaFleur needs that in order for him to be at his best. You know, definitely there was some headbutting with him and Rodgers, no doubt about that. And I think that the fans, we all had our own observations. Oh, let LaFleur run his offense the way it's supposed to be. Quit messing with it, Rodgers, stuff like that. But I also think that there were times where Rodgers bailed LaFleur out, right? LaFleur has a call in. He knows that that's not the right call, and he's able to say, here's what we're going to go with, and get everybody in line. That's the step I think Love needs to take next. He needs to have that autonomy.
So this, and don't let this go to your head. That's just a great point, because You're right. I think the great quarterbacks can do both, right? They can be playmakers,
Yeah.
but also be game managers. And this don't take this point to your head at all, especially about Love. But I feel like Patrick Mahomes at times is become a game manager. Like he knows you're not seeing him throw for 300, 400, like, just going nuts. Like he could probably, right? I mean, obviously his wide receiver talent has been down, but he knows in the moments, obviously they can control the game. Patrick Mahomes knows how to control the game, know that he has a solid defense he can rely on, and then in the moments, take control of that. And that's one, I mean, obviously, me going after Jordan Love, and I think, he does have talent. I will admit that. But just there's a lot of things. I mean, as Packer fans, if you're honest, you have to be concerned about like throwing off the back foot, decision making, those type of things, and knowing the moment. Like, what do you do in the moment? And to me, obviously, this is why I love on social media saying Caleb Williams versus Jordan Love. At this point, Caleb Williams, he doesn't get credit for what he did, bringing the Bears back in several of those games. Obviously, the coaching staff kind of crapped the bed on those. But you look at Jordan Love this year, how much did he actually do that? Did he like take the command when it needed to happen and actually drive them down to put them in position to win?
And not enough, and that's really what it came down to for me. And there were opportunities and there were times and you could see patterns in the play calling that was not good, that needed to be broken. It needed to be shaken up. And I think that was when the Rodgers complimented LaFleur the most, is when he was able to see those things and steer the ship a little bit differently. And I think where Love is right now, he's right on the cusp of that, but this is still only year 2 as a starter. There's still a lot of learning happening, a lot of experience happening. And I think that there's probably less of a courage to maybe tell coach he's not right. You know what I mean? Like, hey, coach, you're wrong. Like that, it takes a little bit of a spine to do that. And you have to earn that in a lot of ways. And so I think that that's where he is. If he doesn't do that in this next year, then we can start using words like concerned and not sure and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not that concerned with what I saw from Love this year, because he still did a lot of really good things, and he does have an arm. And I think that if you can get the thing in sync, then it's going to look really good and really scary to other teams.
You need a wide receiver, though. You need a wide receiver.
My take on that, and this, take it as you will, it is what it is. I want 17 back. I want Davante Adams back. I don't want T. Higgins. I don't want Tyreek Hill. I don't want these guys that need their stats. I know who Davante Adams is. He's one of the best professionals in the league, and he's not Keenan Allen. That's who he's not.
That's fair.
But these guys are talented. We've seen it in flashes, even down to Devontae Wicks, right? Like, you've even seen him throw some games out there. We're like, dang, this guy's kind of dangerous. And I want an elder statesman in the room to unlock that for those guys. Teach these young guys. They're 23, 24, 25 years. They're kids, man. They're still playing video games when they go home. They don't have wives yet. They're kids. Like, teach them how to be professionals over this next 5 years from 25 to 30 and how to be men about this game. And I think you will unlock consistency in those guys that we've been begging for. And in the meantime, Davante Adams is still a pretty damn good receiver, right? It's not like he's going to drag that group down. So that's what I would love to see. The other, lens of that is the draft. And what I would say about this year's class, before I can get too deep into it, because I haven't done as much studying as I'm going to, there was a lot of star power amongst the receivers in the draft last year. This year, I think that there actually might be more value. I think you might see a lot more contributors coming out of after the first and second round, we'll say, like 3rd through 7th. So some good depth from the receivers. There's some size. It's an interesting class, but I don't know that this is a class that the Packers necessarily need to pull from. You've got youth, you've got talent. You need somebody or something that's going to bring those guys together and get the most out of them.
That's a great point. There was an Alabama wide receiver that I heard. I think I'd love the Bears to get. I can't remember his name, but playmaker though. From what I saw,
there's some good ones, man. There's several good ones out there. I mean, the kid out of Arizona is incredible. There's definitely some to watch, but I would say this: Bears fans, wholeheartedly, sincerely, lift your eyes up here. Quit looking at the flashy things down here. All right, you got enough flashy things. You don't need more flashy things. You need the big boys. You need the bulk, right? You need the backbone and the muscle and the bulk that's going to protect your flashy things. So stop looking at receivers. Don't look at receivers. Don't even look over there. Look at the big boys. Look at the big boys that are guarding the door. Those are you need like 4 of those out of this draft.
Yeah, we actually probably do if we don't, get the free agency. But Dre, I mean, is it always? I always feel like Packers fans think the window is always open for them. I mean, what's the deal here, Dre? I mean, how far do you think they are from being a title contender as a Vikings fan?
I mean, I think like obviously they don't have as much, I guess, inconsistencies like as the Vikings do, like relatively. I think like the players are there. I think honestly a lot of it is, can they remain healthy, like even early on in the season?
Problem.
Yeah, I think like, I mean, Jordan Love, like, I mean, yeah, this year wasn't as good as like other seasons or the other season, but I mean, he was playing through an injury pretty much the entire year, and then arguably his receivers were doing the exact same thing. So I don't feel this year is like a good as representation of his fault per se. I think that there's obviously room for growth, obviously, but I think that next season, hopefully, if he obviously can recover in the same from the injuries this year, and the same thing goes to receivers. I think I talked about it last time at least. Like Christian Watson, like I think he's very skillful. I just think like the injuries are starting to become like really significant problem. I do think bringing in a vet will help out a lot. Whether that's Devontae Adams, though, I don't want him coming back to the NFC North in any
or Cooper Kupp,
way.
Right? Maybe Cooper Kupp.
I mean, that's also a rumor that may be a Vikings
Yeah.
wide receiver 3. That's a rumor right now, which I totally wouldn't be against, especially with Addison potentially getting a suspension next season, so that may be nice. But anyway, yeah. The last year, because I think the conviction was end of last year, so that the actual suspension can't happen until this year. So that's why I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I don't know all that, but that's supposedly like the rumor. Anyway, back to back. I mean, I think like obviously they have a decent offensive line enough, and then obviously Jacobs is really good. And I think obviously if Love has healthy receivers, I think he can do damage. The defense similarly, like they can Clay Walker, I think, is a ridiculous linebacker, and I think like he could be very problematic again, it's if he can remain healthy the entire time. And obviously it's not all their faults of anything like that. So I think that's the main problem going into the next season. But if they're able to, and they get that vet wide receiver, I think that could be like, they could be really good. I don't know enough about the draft prospects at this point to really say too much, aside from obviously the big name ones that are obviously there, Sanders, Cam Ward, and then the guy from Boise State. I only know only the few ones. I haven't started looking into it yet. I'm not trying to focus on that until like the Super Bowl's over. But so it's. I mean, I think again, I think they have potential. I think if anything, they have it's them and the Lions that have the less question marks. Having said that, one is player based, the other one's coaching based. So they can go either way.
What about Miles? I didn't ask you about it, but my Iowa guy, Lucas Van Ness. I mean, like he's kind of underperformed so far. Obviously, you had Edgerrin Cooper, who our guy RevTrev loved, and he overperformed and I think is probably going to be one of the superstars for the team going forward. But Lucas Van Ness, he was supposed to be as good as well, especially where he was drafted. Are you concerned by him at all, or is he going to step up next year?
Yeah, he's one that falls into that same category for me. Is like, you look at him and you look at the rest of the bodies on the D line, and it's like, all right, well, are you missing talent, or are you just not getting the most out of the guys? And so, if we had a D line that was performing well and he just wasn't, I think my issues and my question marks would be a little bit bigger. I'm certainly not ready to write a guy like that off. His nickname is Hercules, for crying out loud. Like, some of the best athletes in the world are calling that guy Hercules. Like, that just, it's like, there's something to it, and I'm a Badger fan, so I saw him at Iowa. He was a problem. And that's where for me, philosophically, as a fan, when I've seen guys play at a certain level, I cling on to that. And I go, I've seen that guy do that. Now, a coach needs to figure out how to make him do that more, and that's why I'm also, a little bit more clinging on to Jair Alexander than probably a lot of Packers fans. But yeah, I think Van Ness absolutely is still, I think he has all the potential he's ever had. He doesn't seem to be unhappy about anything. There were times this last season that he started showing some flashes and started playing well in stretches. So I think who they bring in for D-line coach is going to be very impactful for him and his future in Green Bay and in the NFL. And so I hope they get that right. I think they will. Hafley seems like a really strong judge of character and a strong leader. And I think LaFleur is learning a lot about who is actually going to help him and who's not. I think that there's part of him that wants to be able to will his buddies into being good coaches, and kind of like what Seventh Lever was saying about Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn. But another part of you needs to be honest about which guys are actually capable of doing that and which ones aren't. And so some of that's happening, and I have faith that they'll get that hire right and that we will see Van Ness take off this next season. But you should see that from the whole D line, because again, these guys have all shown that they're capable of playing at a high level. Some at the highest, like I said, with Kenny Clark. So I've got expectations that gets turned around pretty quick and becomes a problem for the rest of you guys next season. Because to your point, Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker, the guys behind them are pretty good. Hafley knows what to do with those guys. Yeah. And it's been a long time since the Packers have had linebackers that anybody's afraid of.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell you what, it's going to be an interesting offseason. Definitely appreciate you guys coming on tonight. Obviously, thanks Seventh Letter for coming on. Briefly, obviously, he's dealing with some just tough stuff as well. So you can find him on Seventh Letter, on Twitter, X, and you can also find him here on Wednesdays as well. And you can find me on NFL Outdated on Twitter, X, on YouTube, and also I definitely appreciate both of you coming. And where can we find you, Dre, as we close out tonight?
You can find me on Twitter or X, Facebook, Blue Sky. That's all Skullman Sports. And I will say one thing going into playoffs, the championship games. Let's go Bills over the Chiefs, and hopefully going into being I'm hoping for one of the 2 0-4 Super Bowl teams to break that curse finally.
We didn't talk about it much. I mean, that's, you bring it up, and obviously, I wouldn't mind seeing Washington win, because yes, they haven't get there right, but with Washington, the narrative with Jaden Daniels is like, oh, the Bears missed another quarterback. Get out of here. Right? Jaden Daniels is good, right? He is there. I hear that from Packer fans, but Caleb Williams also is good. He was the pick. Jaden Daniels is solid as well. I think that it's going to be, when you look at the NFC, they're going to be up there battling. Obviously, it helps to have Cliff Kingsbury with him as well. So, but yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I think definitely rooting for the Bills. It's nice to see parity. It's nice to see different teams win it. And, the Chiefs are the new evil empire, right? And
yeah, you're being nice.
I am. I am. But they win, right? And so, and someone who always wins when he comes on, Miles. I appreciate you coming on as well. Always have great points. Where can everyone find you as we close out?
Hey, thank you for the kind words, man. I always have a good time with you guys. Catch us on Monday nights, 9:30, streaming live on the Packers Talk YouTube channel. Going to be covering the Shrine Bowl. So I'll be out there. First practice is on Saturday. So it'll be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then the game is on Thursday. I'll be on the sidelines there. And then we'll have some daily recaps on Cheesehead TV. And then we'll do a nice full recap on the Pack Weekly Pod next Monday and the following Monday. So we'll have a lot of Shrine Bowl coverage. And then we will definitely touch on the Senior Bowl. And then we're draft nerds, man. We're going to get into it and really break down a lot of the prospects. So this is probably some content that anybody can enjoy. We will have a little bit of a bent on, who we think the Packers are interested in and Packers type guys, but we're going to get nerdy about these prospects. So come have some fun with us.
Yeah, definitely going to be, retweeting as much stuff as you can. I love hearing that stuff. I don't know as much about it as well, so definitely going to be drinking from the water hose that you're providing. So appreciate that. So once again, this has been the Freezin for NFC North podcast, and obviously the NFC North has done the playoffs, but hey, we still had fun tonight, and appreciate everyone commenting and watching. And thanks again, everybody. We will catch you again next week. Have a good night, everybody.
Go Pack, go.
Peace.